Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today I'm bringing you guys my first impressions of the new Axis versus Allies mode. So the premise of this mode is that it's at tier 8, and only ships that were built and launched in real life are allowed, and they are allied based upon their faction during World War II. You know, the Allies, the French, Americans, British, and Soviets are on one side. The Axis, the Japanese, the Germans, and the Italians are on the other side, which is something that's been highly demanded by the community for quite some time. And this is something that, I mean, if you just go watch almost any World of Warships video, there's probably going to be a comment about how there's not a historical mode in this game, and this, that, and the other, and you know, there always is with these types of games, you know, War Thunder, War Warships, War Tanks, War Planes, yada, yada, yada. So this has been a very, very in-demand game mode, and I'm excited that they're trying it out and seeing if they can get it to work. Now, before the mode was launched, back when it was announced, predictions were made about how this mode was going to go down. Many people pointed out that the Allies simply have quite literally all the radar on their side, which is very true. And how the Allies had much better carriers, which is, again, very true. And how the Allies were probably going to walk all over the Axis because of those reasons, which is kind of true. So I played this mode quite a bit yesterday for about 2 hours, trying to hop back between the Allies and the Axis, you know, about every other game. And, well, the Allies do win more. That's for sure. That's for darn sure. But it's not really because of the reasons people were saying. Honestly, radar hasn't really played much of a factor, at least for the 2 hours that I played the game mode. It was more of the Axis are just stuck with mostly one playstyle, while the Allies quite simply have a much wider variety available to them. Because the Axis, all their heavy units, the battleships, they're all designed and based around brawling. So they're not good at long range. I mean, you literally have 3 choices for battleship: Tirpitz, Bismarck, or Roma. Or Roma with SAP if someone has a Vittorio Veneto. That's it. If you really want to be technical about it, it's literally 2 battleships. That's it. And they're all designed to be very close, and their optimal range is within the secondary range and closer. So the Axis are kind of screwed because they basically just have to push and hope they can get within range of their secondaries and within their battleship's optimum range. Now, if they do that, they will win. Every match where my team on the Axis side grouped up with the battleships and just absolutely pushed like a bunch of friggin' apes, we won. Be it CV, be it radar ships on the enemy team, whatever, we won when that happened. However, when that did not happen, and people were trying to play Bismarck and Tirpitz and Roma, like mid to long range battleships, it didn't go so well. So, yeah. But if you look at the Ally side, again, in terms of battleships, you've got Massachusetts, North Carolina, Vanguard, Richelieu, ships that have a wide variety of playstyle. Massachusetts is a brawler. North Carolina's an excellent sniper. Alabama's a good mid-range ship. Richelieu's Richelieu, and so forth and so on. There's more variety on that side. And then, of course, too, be it the Americans or the British or the whomever else, the cruiser advantage is very much there too, because again, with the Axis, you've got German cruisers, and that's really about it, and like the Otago. And I guess if this sticks around for long enough, you know, you could get the Tone too. Oh, and the Megami too, forgot about them. And destroyers too. You basically have German destroyers, which are German destroyers, or tort boats with the Italians, or the Akazuki. Not the best DDs right now, I mean, Akazuki's pretty good. On the ally side, you got the frickin' Fritz gunboats, which are some of the best DDs in the game, hands down right now, along with the American DDs, which are very, very good too. And again, like CV-wise, there's better CVs. However, honestly, CVs didn't really affect the game that much in this mode. It might be... Well, first off, I didn't even run into that many CVs at all. I think I had 2 CV games, and that was it. In one of the 2 CV games, we just utterly walked over the enemy team as the Axis, and the other CV game, we won as the Axis too. It wasn't a walkover, but much closer of a match, and we won quite handily. It could have been the CV, well, it probably was the CV players' just skill or lack of skill at that point, but they didn't really have that much of an effect on the match. Mainly too because at that point we were pushing together. All the Bismarcks and Terpses were grouped up. When you have freaking 5 Bismarcks and Terpses together, even though they don't have the best AA at that point, that's a significant amount of AA. We didn't run across any Enterprises though, either on my team or going against my team. So, I mean, I know the Enterprise is just busted, so that would have probably been a different story. As far as the time with the Allies went, it was much easier to win because you didn't have to depend upon your team to push. You could play the game kind of how the meta is right now at higher tier. Sitting in the back at mid to long range, sniping and burning down the enemy ships pretty handily and pretty easily too. So that wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, even when I was trying to play the Vanguard, I tried to play a little bit more aggressively, get a little bit closer, and we still won. And I made a lot of mistakes in Vanguard, and heck, that match is probably playing, I don't know, either right now or it will play here in a minute, and we still won. It was incredibly easy to win as the Allies. So, like I said, the predictions that were thrown out there about, the radar ships being along the Ally side, yes, that's true, but it didn't really factor in that much because you're not really sitting still as the Axis. You have to push, you have to move. You can't sit there, and it seems that most players understand that. I'm assuming most players play on the Axis side. They like their ships to be playing on the Axis side. That's another thing too, like the queue times. You get in an Axis ship, you're in like freaking 15 seconds. Probably not even 15 seconds. You're in like 5 seconds. If you're in an Allied ship, you're going to sit there for a minute or two. So, yeah, there is that. The Allies are way more popular. Now, how could they fix this? I think if they open it up to, like, down to Tier 6, that gives the access to a lot more ships. A lot more real ships are down there for the Axis, like the Nagato, for example. That'll give the Axis a sniping battleship that the Nagato, when played right, up tiers actually pretty nicely. And a lot more cruisers and destroyers will be available to the Axis as well. But at Tier 8, you're just so limited in your choices for the Axis side that it's just not a great time. Or they could allow the Axis access to the Yamato and the Musashi, which, those are very powerful units, but they would definitely help offset the balance of the Ally side, which this game right now is heavily in the Allies' favor, which is historically accurate, like we talked about yesterday, but the Axis did have the Yamato and Musashi in real life too. And I would say, you could open up to Tier 10 sans the carriers, so no carriers. No Tier 10 carriers, so like Tier 10 cruisers could be allowed in too. And I think it would be okay-ish balance-wise, because a lot of the higher tier allied ships didn't really exist. Some of them did, a good chunk of them did, but like the Montana didn't exist, the Republic didn't exist, the Alsace didn't exist. They were never completed or put into water, one or the other. So that would, I think, give the Axis a bit of an edge. Just, of course, getting the Yemi in a game where you can see Tier 6 ships. And I think that'd be kind of cool to see, all these real ships meet despite of tier and see how the game goes. Other than that, I don't really know how they could balance it, because besides that, you'd have to start changing the parameters of the ships, which you can't do, obviously. I mean, there's no real way around it. I mean, besides doing some really crazy arcadey stuff like allowing respawns or something, you can't really balance it any other way, in my opinion at least. But again, I think unlocking Tier 6 ships to Tier 8, that'll give the Germans access to the the Shoran Horse, potentially the Gneissa now. I know like it's the planned refits, and the Gneissa was really launched, which, the refit was supposed to happen, but it didn't happen. But they allowed Behold Bismarck in, and Behold Bismarck never happened. So, maybe you could allow that. Who knows? But, just more variety would be added to the Axis side, which is what they really need right now, because they're just stuck, just monkey pushing, and that's all they can do. But when it works out, it's pretty fun. I had fun most time playing the Axis. I was never in the situation where I found myself in a lot at high tiers where you're just, running for your life and getting burned down. That didn't happen, and that was kind of a nice break, You're pushing because you have to, and the enemy ships don't really get the time to farm you down by HE spam because you're either in their face or you're dead, ironically. And another thing too was a lot of times on the Axis side, like a good chunk of the team were made up of bots, and that's never a good thing to have on your team. I did get 1 or 2 matches that were full real players on the Axis side, and that was refreshing, and those were some of the matches that we won. But overall, I'm confident. There is a lot of promise here. If they stick with it, tweak it, see what they can do to balance it out, I think we have a pretty good game mode here. And they could just say, hey, this is a historical game mode. Historically, the Allies had superior ships and more ships, so they could just say that, and yeah, they'd be 100% correct in saying that. So we'll see what happens with this, but I am encouraged that they are trying to bring in new game modes, so we got that going for us. Guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Hope you're having a wonderful Friday. Come join us tonight on stream. I'll be streaming right here and on the Twitch channel from 5 p.m. U.S. Central Time to 8 p.m. U.S. Central Time, so please come hang out with us there. Guys, hope you're having a wonderful Friday. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. We're on our way now to 25,000 subs. We just passed 23,400 a few days ago. But anyway, guys, hope you're having a great day. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.